was a lot of work over more than 10 years since we started with the idea. Then making it real took a real commitment.
The very idea must have seemed like one of those utopic and also impossible works to do.
Well, not impossible, but certainly very difficult because Europe is very big and not everywhere is easy to find people able to do this job. So it took a lot of time to do it. But we had a group of people who were committed and a lot of help by friends all over. So finally we found satisfactory contributors for all the countries that we wanted in, and we wanted in a lot of countries because first, as the jazz is open music, we also wanted open borders. So as you see here, we go far east, and Europe is including all Russia and Azerbaijan and Turkey and plenty of countries that are not in the political Europe.
So the story starts with?
The story starts, we asked the contributors to start with the first manifestation of jazz in their countries. So there is a chapter which is dedicated to African American entertainers before 1920. So there is a lot of people who came even before the jazz word was used, but we have already very similar music. Brought in the music halls.
Before the Second World War.
Before the Second World War, even just after the first one.
Yes.
Just after the first one. So there is a chapter only about that. And then all the countries included the very first manifestation of jazz. So it starts basically in the late 10. Late 10, yes.
Was the war an important factor of just interrupting every musical creativity and then the comeback would be in the 50s?
Well, we can say that, but also it was a factor of people moving around. So the story of the musician, there are some fantastic stories of musicians who survived, how they moved around from Austria, going to Germany, from Germany to Ukraine, from Ukraine to Russia, and then back to Hong Kong, and then coming back to Europe after the war. So there are also stories of survival in very difficult conditions under authoritarian regimes and during the war, and when jazz was prohibited in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, in Portugal, Poland, of course. So there is all these stories, and for us it's a tribute also to the people who actually made this thing and choose to do their music under very difficult conditions.
Actually, this is when jazz came back to fulfill its first role. It was a music of freedom.
Yeah, it was a music of freedom and has been everywhere. And of course, under different orientation of politics, still it was a music of freedom and also of mixing up people. So it was really the most open music to the contribution. Another chapter which is thematic. We have 40 chapters in total. 34 are about countries. 6 are about themes. So we have a chapter about Gypsy and Jewish musicians who traveled around Europe, bringing their music and learning the music and disseminating it.
Clarinet, for instance.
Clarinet, violin, or even other more exotic instruments like cymbalon and Balkans and Hungarian. So it's everything is we try to include as much as possible of that.
So collaboration with all the countries that participated?
Yes, we have. In some of the countries there is an institution dealing with jazz history and jazz archives. We have one in Siena, there is a jazz archive in England, now there is a jazz archive in Russia. And we had support from all these people that gave us historical photographs. And also musicians, families of musicians. Many of the pictures, the book is 750 pages and there are 250 pictures. So it's actually beautiful to look at because wherever you open it, you find not only the names of the musicians but also the images. Now this is
Jan Garbarek.
Jan Garbarek, for example, a young Garbarek playing in his first jazz band. So it's also visually a very exciting document.
How many people worked on it?
We have more than 40 contributors, but some of the countries required more than one person. So someone is specialized on early stories. For example, in Portugal, we asked Pedro Cravinho, who works in England, to do the early years, and then Rui Neves did the later years. And then we had plenty of consulting, so we exchanged the chapters, and we said to our friends and contributors and historians and journalists, look at this chapter, tell us if something is missing so we can include it. So we had a really wide net of cooperations.
And the whole process took about 10 years?
A little bit more, starting from the first meetings that we had about this project. And it kind of changed shape when EGN got behind it. And that really was the start of the real operation. And 6 years ago, we started to collect the material. And the last 18 months has been only editing. Because you can imagine, you are from Poland, so we had to check all the the correct characters of the different languages, from Balkan countries to Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Iceland. So orthographic was also a challenge for that.
Mm-hmm. And as a journalist, I'm absolutely excited, thrilled. I don't know if I'll be able to get my hands on the book that fast.
Yeah, anybody can order it at the website of the publisher. And we hope that the institution like the central libraries or the libraries of the conservatories will order a book and make it available to the students.
Well, next step, waiting for translations.
That's another matter that has to be taken up by a single country. So if someone wants to translate in a different language, we will be happy to cooperate. But of course, the English is also the common language of jazz all over. So having it in English was the most obvious choice.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much thank you very much for your interest, and it's a really great achievement for me personally, but also for the whole organization of EGN.
To quote Ross Rigby today, it's a serious legacy.
It is a serious legacy. Shows the legacy and put even the friends from here. They are from Paris, and they were looking at the article about France, and they were seeing things that they never heard about their own countries. Imagine about the rest of the countries.
Finally, we can say our jazz is European jazz. We of course we owe it some to Americans, but we're proud to have our own roots in jazz.
Absolutely, and in fact, it is interesting to see how a kind of European space for the music developed, which is a natural forum for exchange across the borders. And at the beginning, we put some early examples of all pan-European bands. Pan-European bands started in the 50s. So this is my introduction to the book. So we start in the 50s. This is in Holland, in the Netherlands, a concert of the European Jazz Stars. This is 61 European All-Stars. And this is the Globe Unity Orchestra. So this
75.
This is the development of a European space of exchange on the music.
Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Thank you very much for your interest.